Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Confident Hypnotherapist. Now, in this episode, I'm so absolutely thrilled to be able to have Las Vegas stage hypnosis royalty on my show with the wonderful Michael DeSchalit. I can see you laughing there. Don't deny it. You're brilliant. So, Michael, thank you for joining me.
Wow, that was. You know what? I don't know. I have nothing. I have nothing after that. I now have to live up to this reputation. I feel my self-esteem is at an all-time low right now. My confidence is not peaking, but it's plummeting into a brilliant ball of fire. I'm sure it's going to explode any moment. So let's talk about confidence and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say now.
Well, one thing I do have to say is it's been almost it's a year and a month since we last had you in Australia. And you and Dan coming over to teach a few of us wisdom and insight into stage hypnosis. And of course, you're not just a stage hypnotist. You are obviously an exceptional hypnotherapist with that as well.
Figure out how to point to the sign in the background.
Yes.
Mirror images screw me up. There.
But for me, one of the things that why I want to do course with you is because for me, I understand that stage hypnosis brings a certain level of confidence within it in itself. I guess an interesting starting point would be to ask you, how did you come across hypnosis in the first place? Where was your beginnings with it?
Well, it's an interesting story. I'll keep it as brief as possible. So I started off I've always liked performing. Let me just take a step back. I hate performing. It scares the hell out of me. My first performance was in band in the 4th grade. I was asked to play the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem. And I was a pretty good trumpet player for being only my first year playing. So Mr. Koretz, his name, we used to call him Mr. Irving Koretz. He looked a little bit like Einstein. He had the flowing white hair kind of a thing going on. And he said, why don't you play this at one of our PTA meetings? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I was never more scared in my entire life than I was then. And that was in the 4th grade. And so I figured, though, it was good. They clapped and I didn't miss any notes and it was all right, I guess. So I've always kind of wanted to be a performer, I guess. Part of me on the inside says, perform, it's fun. I love the rush, the adrenaline. And then part of me says, it's scary as hell sometimes. And I had a pivotal point in band when I was in the 9th grade, so high school, first year of high school. The 4th quarter of the school year, I was selected to be in the jazz band, which was really only for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I was a pretty good trumpet player. I got selected to be in the jazz band. They gave me a solo, and the song was Sunny. So I had a trumpet solo, and we had a public performance downtown. In the downtown area, they had this little place called the Mercado. It was every Friday. They set up like a farmer's market. They had different jazz bands from the community, from high schools to come and play. I bombed the solo big. I bombed it. I was shaking so bad, I sounded like a goat playing a French horn. It was like, the vibrato was just so horrifying. And then I bombed it, and all my peers are like, no, we shouldn't have let him in, maybe. And so I made a deal with myself right then and there that I would never allow myself to become so nervous that I would lose control of my bodily functions. I didn't pee or poop myself, but I was just shaking. And I couldn't control that shaking. And which then one thing led to another, and it spiraled down. And so I made that commitment. I made that deal. I made that suggestion to my subconscious mind back then in the 9th grade. I had no idea what hypnosis was back then. And so then fast forward all through college, all through high school, I was very much extroverted in the band, because I was the lead trumpet player. I was the hot shit guy. But deep down inside, I was still kind of shy. And, it sort of developed into college. I played in college bands and was very, very extroverted in band, but kind of shy. Alcohol was a factor that allowed me to have that liquid inspiration and confidence. Because the band at the time was sponsored by Budweiser, which is a college band sponsored by a beer company.
Yeah, it's
what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
And we had 350 people in the band, and every Friday we had Saturday games. Every Friday, the Budweiser gave us a panel van where we can move all of our percussion equipment from the band room to the field. And so we'd go down to Budweiser's brewing company, and they would fill up this band van with beer for us every Friday. So we would just get, inebriated after the games. We'd have a big party over somebody's house, and we'd all crash there, and there'd be 300 dead band people there every Sunday morning. And so that did help with the confidence, but it was obviously chemical help. It wasn't the right way to do it. After college, I didn't play anymore because there's not a big demand for solo trumpet players. So years after college, I got married, started a family, and found a magic shop and learned a trick for $10, and then took lessons, and then I became a magician. Well, after doing magic for about 10 years or so, I saw an ad in a magic magazine, which I got every month. I got about 5 of them in the mail every month. And it said, learn all the secrets of stage hypnosis. And I told my wife, I said, I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to be a ventriloquist, a pickpocket, and a stage hypnotist. And that'd be so cool.
In that order?
And it's only, what's that?
In that order, or?
Well, no, not necessarily in that order, but ventriloquist, I can't do. My lips never stop moving. And pickpocketing takes too much dexterity. And I, honest to God, don't want to work that hard. And so, and my hands don't even match up. So just saying, so really they don't. And so, so I decided, and comedy is definitely out of the picture. So I told her, I said, it's only, $1,500. And she heard me loud and clear. She goes, that wouldn't be the first, $1,500 you wasted on some stupid magic stuff. I'm like, it's not stupid. So I took that as a very supportive yes. And you met my wife, and she is very supportive. And so she's wonderful. And she says, if that's what you want to do, then do it. I had just spent $7,000 on a magic trick, which was in the back of the pickup truck when I pulled into the driveway to get the magic magazine out. And she goes, we just spent $7,000 out. You want to spend more money? I'm like, yeah, I'll make money at it. It'll be fun. And I don't have to carry heavy props around anymore. She goes, well, what are we going to do with that thing? I said, well, we'll do it a few times and then maybe sell it or whatever. I don't know. And so, so I went to a class and became a stage hypnotist. And after 2 weeks, I did my first show in 2 weeks, which was a great confidence booster.
Yeah.
I had some great instructors, Jerry Valley, Orman McGill, Tommy V, a host of others. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Jerry Valley and Orman McGill. I mean, the godfathers of stage hypnosis. And great support staff too, that really helped out. And Orman helped me write my show right then and there, because Orman was also a magician too. So we shared the same roots. And then he helped me structure my show that first week there. And then the training was for a week. I went home, I called an agent, and I said, hey man, I'm doing hip shows now. You should hire me. And I'm thinking 6 months, a year down the road, maybe get a gig. He called me a week later. He says, I need you in a week to do a show for a college sorority at the University of Arizona, my alma mater, and 100 sorority girls. And I'm thinking, there is a hypnosis god, and he's smiling upon me. And I took my dad to videotape the show, and the agent said, I'm going to be there to run your sound. I said, well, I use a remote control device for that. I don't really need your help. He goes, no, I'm going to be there to run the sound. I said, but I use this remote thing. He goes, no, you don't understand. 100 sorority girls, I will be there. So he wanted to be there too as a witness. And the show went off great. It was spectacular. It worked. I was like, wow. I remember saying, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and sleep. And all their heads went, whoa. And I just remember looking at them. I can feel the agent behind me looking through me at them. My dad was still trying to figure out how to press record on the camera, which he never recorded the show. But at least I have a witness though. But anyways, so I just remember going, holy shit, this stuff works. And I'm like, wow. So that was a tremendous confidence booster for me. But then after the show, 2 sorority girls came up and they said, we saw what you made those people do.
Right.
And of course, which we know is not what really happened. Yeah. I suggested and they followed. And so I set them straight on the record. They said, can you make us quit smoking? I said, well, I can't really make you do anything. And I said, I'm really not one of those clinical people, but they told us in the class to refer you to somebody who's local. So here's a guy's name. Go see him. I'm sure it'd hook you up. I walked away from that show thinking to myself, you know what? 2 things just happened. I missed an opportunity to save 2 beautiful young ladies' lives. Now, granted, I was old enough at the time. They still could have been my daughters. And so I'm thinking, if that were my daughters, I would expect another gentleman to do the right thing. And I missed an opportunity there. I could have literally saved their lives by helping them quit smoking. I didn't know what to do, though. I didn't know what I was doing. And so, I mean, I knew how to go sleep and do that, but I didn't know how to do all the clinical stuff. And and then I also thought I'm leaving money on the table too. So I went immediately, signed up for a hypnotherapy certification course and took that class. And then I'm thinking, okay, now what? I'm a hypnotist now. Hey, I can do the smoking thing now and the weight loss. And that's good. I'm sure the phone will ring off the hook. And I was getting clients by just talking to people and seeing them in my house, my living room. And I realized at the very first client, I had no freaking idea what I was doing. And that's when the fear set in. But I also realized from my stage training that that client has no idea what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So whatever I do is going to be, I'm the expert here, theoretically, and whatever I'm supposed to do, they don't know what I'm supposed to do. So whatever I do will be the gospel truth. Yeah. So first lesson is, you know more than your clients unless they're hypnotists. And even then, I've had hypnotists come to me because they wanted to see what I do, to validate that they're doing the right thing. And you know, you and I have both been to trainings and conferences and such, and people go there for two reasons. Number one, to learn something they don't know, or number two, validate that what they are doing is what everybody else is doing, so it's probably the right and good thing.
Yeah.
So really, that's the whole point is on that is, you know, validate that you're doing, you know, the right thing and consistent with what the profession is doing. Not saying you shouldn't be a little bit of a renegade too and try some new stuff, because you should, but also just know that, you know, follow your training. You know more than your client does. And so I was very successful with hypnotherapy from the get-go. Clients were just like, I remember, you know, even now, the first session for a brand new client, they open their eyes when you emerge them and they say, wow, that was cool. And, you know, it's the most common word that's said, and it's wow, you know, and I would like to get Owen Wilson as a client, because I would definitely recommend, he would go, wow, you know, wow, wow. But that's what they all say, something to that, you know, to that effect. And so I figured, okay, this shit's working. And then it was after maybe a year or so, I actually went to a hypnosis meeting with other hypnotists, and I went, we're all doing kind of the same stuff. This is Mike DeSchalit's version of it. This is Lawrence's version of it. This is Robert's version of it. We're all doing the same stuff. So I must be doing something right. And I just continue to validate that. And then to build your confidence even more, you try to stretch those boundaries a little bit and do some things that are a little bit fringe, a little bit pushing the envelope a little bit. And I think so that confidence leads to creativity and leads to more confidence and leads to more results. And as long as you're having results, you know, that are consistent with what you're doing, then that's how you do it. So that's a really long answer.
No, it's a great answer.
And that concludes this podcast and the three more that follow.
Thank you for coming, Aaron.
Thank you for coming by, though. And yeah.
You did touch on something, though, about the fact that, you know, you only did one course in hypnotherapy there, and you went and started to get some great results.
Yeah.
I think we do see a culture nowadays where people almost do course after course. That whole kind of, you know, this, I just need to know one more thing before I can actually be the hypnotherapist.
Yeah. And my wife and I said the same thing when we were thinking about having children. We said, if we just can make this much more money, and then we need to buy a minivan, and then we need to have this much in savings, and then we need to have this, and then we need to have, once we can do all those things, we would have enough to support a baby. And you never have enough to support a baby. They are money pits. They suck it right out of your wallet. And so you're never rich enough to have kids. You're never in that situation. I don't say never, but most people, you know, they're never really ready. So at some point you got to jump, man. You got to hope and trust in your training and trust in all that stuff. I do want to tell you the tag end of that story, though, the college sorority show, because now I said the show went well, kind of, sort of. And I think I might have told this story when we did our stage training, but I did a perfect induction. I did the Jerry Valley induction right out of his book, Insider Secrets of Stage Hypnosis. I did it, man. And let me tell you, I threw my magical pizzazz in there because I said, and 1 down to 0 and sleep. And I did the magic hands, sleep. And they all went, and I was like, oh my God, this shit works. I can feel my agent going, yay. I don't have to like run. And then a girl in the audience hiccuped. And then 2 girls giggled. And then all 88 of the rest of the girls in the audience, I had 12 up on stage, all 88 of the rest of them started laughing. And all 12 of my volunteers did this. Take off my glasses. You can see they did this. And they got out of their chairs and went back to their seats in the audience. And I went, I'm pooping my pants now. But what I did was I realized I forgot the little maybe suggestion that if you hear any other noises, they won't bother you. Just don't pay attention to them. And if you think you're coming out of hypnosis, don't just go back to the audience. Let me properly excuse you to make sure you're out of hypnosis. So I forgot those 2 little minor things. So it was a near perfect induction. The hands was good, though. That was good, though. And so they all went back to the audience, and I said, and I don't know where I pulled this from. I attribute it to creative divine Tourette's. And so it just came spewing out of my mouth. They said, ladies, what you just witnessed was how easy it is to go into hypnosis. Now we're going to fill these chairs again, and this time we're going to proceed with the show. And it was like, I have no idea where the hell that came from. I pulled that literally out of my ass.
That is a stroke of genius.
Yeah, it was just it was fear. I vomited idea. And so, and 11 hands went up. And I'm like, yeah, you have a question? And it was 11 of the 12 girls that came up there and they all asked the same question, can I come up there again? And so then I'm getting a little cocky. And I said, well, I normally wouldn't allow you to do that. Why wouldn't I? That's stupid. But I normally wouldn't allow you to do that. But I'll make an exception for you ladies because you're so friendly. And come on up here. And then I got another one who was, if you know anything about a hypnosis show, people are listening intently in the audience, 30 hypnagogic anyways. So now it's just, I did an abbreviated version of the induction, mentioning the 2 other important suggestions I failed to mention the first time. Mm-hmm. And the show rocked out. So after the show, the agent came up to me and he said, I've seen some hypnosis shows before, but I've never seen a hypnotist do what you did, where you did like a demonstration first and you let people try it out. And then you did a for realsies show. And I looked at him dead in the eye with all the confidence I can muster. And I said, now keep in mind, this is my first show. He did not know that it was my first show. And so I looked at him dead in the eye and I said, I do all my shows like that. And I turned around and walked away because he doesn't even know what the hell my show looked like. Quite frankly, up until then, neither did I. And my dad still doesn't know because he was still wrestling with the camera and never did record the damn show. It's just, you sometimes you fake it till you make it, but you trust your training. So for those going back to those people that take so many trainings, if I just had one more training, if I just had one more certification, no. Yes. Get as many as you can, expand your horizons. But you know what, though? You're never more ready than right now to do this.
Yeah.
We can teach you, between you and I, we could teach anybody how to hypnotize somebody. It may not be good and it may not be pretty. We could teach them how to do an induction in an hour. But it doesn't, I'm not saying do it that way, but if we had to, if we needed to train somebody in an hour to do this, we could, and they could do it. It may not be their best session. It may not be pretty. They may not know to do it after that, but at least, the best time is to start is right now. Yep. Get off your butt. You're never going to have enough knowledge. You're never going to have enough training, because I still take trainings. I still learn things. I've been doing this 17 years. And in the grand scale of hypnotists, I'm still a baby at this. And there are a lot of people that have been a lot longer than me, 40, 50, 60 years. So yeah, there's no better time than right now, and nobody knows more. So that's lesson number two. Lesson number two, there's no better time to do it right now. See clients now. Yeah. Number one is, of course, nobody knows more about hypnosis than you, because you're the expert. Your client doesn't know more about So there you go. So it's 2 life lessons.
I know. Like, I mean, we're getting bonuses here already. Like, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
A bonus. That's right.
As a trainer, when you train people, which is of course what trainers do, what kind of things do you notice in your students that are getting in their own way, in terms of what kind of beliefs they might have that stop them from being able to be fully present with their client, be in that moment, and just be able to work with a positive intention and confidence?
Themselves. It just entirely their limiting beliefs. I just did a training class again with Dan Kendall. We did an online training, and there was a girl in the class, a lovely lady, and she's a massage therapist and turned hypnotist, and been doing it for maybe about a year or so. And we were talking a little bit about pricing, and she said, "Oh no, I could never charge that much because there's a guy in my area that only charges this much." And I'm like, "Well, good, then charge more, charge double what he charges." And she's like, "I don't think I can do that because people won't pay it." How do you know? Have you asked everybody? Yeah. How do you know that? Have you asked everybody? There will be people that will not pay that double fee. They're going to go to the other guy because he's half the price. And there's some will, some won't. So what? So really, it's their own limiting beliefs, and we all fall victim to that, myself included. So we have to keep ourselves in check too, and eliminate those limiting beliefs. Again, nobody knows more about hypnosis than we do, especially a client that's never experienced it before. So we are the expert. We charge what we charge. We make no apology for it. We do what we do because we know that it works, or at least we went to a training. I went to one training program before I started seeing clients.
Yep.
And now I've gone through probably 10 of them, at least on certification or more. So I try to take a new certification class every year. Sometimes I don't, but I try to learn new stuff. So it's, they get in their own way. Just do it. You can't screw this up. Your client won't let you because they came to you for a change. So they're already halfway there. You just need to do the voodoo that you do. You know, the dangling of the rubber chicken and the shaka-laka, laka, 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 the crystals, the voodoo, the woo, whatever it is that you do, they're going to think that's the right thing to do. And they're going to subscribe to that as long as you've built rapport with them and trust with them. And you know the ropes. I mean, hypnotists that are watching this, we all know the ropes. You got to, rapport leads to trust leads to hypnosis. And then facilitating the change is not up to you. It's up to the client to accept it. It's a gift, and for them to accept that.
I think also for many people, though, it's their fear that they look at the process as being very much a black and white pass or fail.
Yeah.
That, what if the client doesn't get the outcome that they came to see me for? Does that mean that I'm a bad hypnotherapist? And, I think that there's sometimes got to be some acceptance that they're not going to be able to help everyone in the way that perhaps they had intended or hoped, because it's not their decision about change. It's the client's decision.
Yeah, it is very true. And on that note too, is that, so if it doesn't work the first time, you try something else with them. And, in my intake form, it says, I have a multifaceted approach to this. I will, and I explained to them, like, don't read the words. Let me just explain it to you. I believe in the kitchen sink philosophy. I'm going to throw everything at you, including the kitchen sink. You better duck fast because that thing hurts when it hits you. But I'm going to throw everything at you. I know I'm going to unload both barrels on you until we find the right way to work. Now, we're going to celebrate our successes in between sessions. And when you come back and see me for session 2, 3, and 4, we're going to celebrate your successes. We're also going to celebrate your failures, because we both just learned something, that that's not the technique. And that's not what's really tripping the trigger in your mind. And that's good. Congratulations. We know now that that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
So if you pre-frame it and set it up as you're going to be successful no matter what, even if your success is all failure on figuring out what doesn't work, then eventually we will find, it's the whole Thomas Edison thing, however many times he tried to invent the light bulb and it didn't work. And his, assistant said he's a failure. And he said, no, I'm a success. I just figured out another way it doesn't work. Yeah. That old analogy. And so it's so true with clients. And I let them know. I said, you know what? Hey, if it doesn't work, then, it's probably your fault because you didn't accept it. But then again, I also tell them too, that then we'll try a different technique. I don't quit. I'm not a quitter.
I always remind people there's no one size fits all approach that works for everyone. Because if there was, we'd just use that. That would be it. There would be no other option. Yeah. You would go, well, this works for everyone. We'll do that. The fact that there's no one size fits all, the fact that people are complex human beings means that there needs to be a little bit of exploring, a little bit of digging. And sometimes we're going to go down the right path. Sometimes it's going to be perhaps not as successful.
I created a process a number of years ago, to really help the client create their own expectation of what they want. And it's called the Genie process. And it's a very successful program. And what it boils down to is really, it is their fault if it doesn't work. Hypnosis doesn't fail. It's the client that fails to accept the change. Now, it's not a bad failure. Doesn't make them bad people. And again, we may do the wrong technique. So we have to do a little adjusting on our side too. We both have to take responsibility for the failure, but ultimately it's all on them. The onus is on them to succeed. And again, that's all set up through the whole process, the rapport building process, the intake process, qualifying them before they actually become a client, spend a nickel with you. But then when they become a client, I run them through the Genie process, which basically gets them to a point where they're willing to fight me I become this mythical genie, I guess. I don't know, this imaginary genie where I'm going to grant them wishes. They got to get to the point, though, to where they're willing to fight me, the genie, for what they want. And again, I will straighten that out later on and let them know that I'm not the damn genie, you are. So you're really fighting yourself to eliminate those limiting beliefs that you have. But in the process, though, they start saying what they want, and people have selective perception. They want to hear what they want to hear. And I always tell people this example. If you were having a bad day and you called me up and you said, Mike, dude, I'm just having a horrible day. I mean, I need some words of encouragement. I said, look, Lawrence, you know what? Stop your whining, you damn crybaby. Put your big girl panties on, pull your bootstraps up, pull your boots by the bootstraps up, get off your ass and go out there and just fix it. Okay, you damn crybaby. And then click, I hang up on you. That's not what you wanted to hear. It's probably what you need to hear. Yes. But you were hoping for a little bit. Oh, Pookie, honey, it's okay. Huggy, kissy, you'll be fine. Brush you off. No. I mean, sometimes people want to hear that. Sometimes people want to hear, something a little bit firmer. And so it gets them to the point where they can choose how they want the suggestions delivered to them. And it really is a creative process to do that, to get them to the point where they're willing to fight you for it. Yeah. Because if you can get them to that point, then you can literally take a rubber chicken and go shaka laka laka, shaka laka laka, give them some suggestions and it'll work because the work's done. You're just validating their parking.
That is such a I'm sorry, it's had people like put the chicken up above eye level. Just stare at me.
Yeah. Shaka laka laka laka, shaka laka laka laka, shaka laka. You gotta do it in a circle. They gotta shaka laka laka laka. Hold it by the neck, shaka laka laka laka, shaka laka laka. Because they don't know what the hell you're saying. They don't think like dangle a thing, watch my pen. They don't know what the hell. Lightning bolts, spirals. Clients have no freaking idea what to expect from us. You know that, right? So I like to throw in some weird stuff every now and then just to keep them thinking. I need to start using a rubber chicken. Quite honestly.
That would be the hypno chicken. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Be really something to do. You get them to the point where they've created their own expectation of what they want. Then really you're validating their parking. That's all you're doing. You're validating. It's like, why do people go to seminars? Learn something they don't know and to validate something that they're doing. Bingo. So that's lesson number 3.
We go back to the stage.
I had no idea. I had no idea I was going to do this. I
know it's expanding out into a whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Just making this stuff up. So
now, I should let our viewers and listeners know that you and Dan Candell and Emma Romano created my child, George. You guys had my partner Anthony up on stage, and he gave birth
to baby George.
To baby George, who's now a year old. And you know, Anthony's an interesting one, because Ant went up and he said, I'm going to volunteer to go up, but part of me doesn't believe that this is going to work. That's what he said to me. And then he went up.
Famous last words, yeah.
Of course, at the end of the show, he was dancing with Emma Romano's husband, and it was a very intimate, touching moment, one that I'll cherish forever. But I imagine that you probably hear often people saying that don't think it's going to work, and perhaps the flip side of that, people who come up who want it to work and who it doesn't work for.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about how, you know, in that wonderful moment, you're able to just find the words to come back from what could have been a big disaster there. Mm-hmm. How often do those kind of disasters happen within a show, and what do you tend to do to help pull it back from that brink?
You know, the element of the show that we can never control is what the volunteers are going to do, or what they're thinking when they do volunteer to come up. Like we had no idea that Anthony was thinking, I'll come up there, but I don't know if it's going to work. We had no idea until afterwards we were talking to him. But it again, it boils down to, if it doesn't work, it's their fault. And I've seen several people, you know, come up to the stage and they sit down and they sit down. They're like, okay, I'm ready. Well, you're not going into hypnosis. You're going to poop your pants is what you're going to do. You look about as relaxed as, you know, you're not relaxed at all. So don't stop trying. Just don't try so hard. And then some people get up there and they see the audience looking back at them and they realize, oh my God, this might have been a bad idea. I may not be able to run for attorney general when this is over. And so, you know, and some people just, you know, they get distracted. The weirdest things, I would say probably the weirdest disaster I ever had was, again, not a disaster. It just happened. I had a gentleman, I was doing a show in Carlsbad, California, at a theater that is now owned by Marshall Silver, another great hypnotist. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing a show there. I rented the theater from the guy that previously owned it, and I was four-walling a show there. And this guy gets up, and he's one of those guys where, and I've got a closet full of broken crystal balls by looking at people as they come up, and I go, yeah, he's going down, or no, I don't think so. I've had the biggest, burliest bikers on stage that basically give birth and tell me who did it to them and tell me how they got pregnant in detail in an adult type show, which I don't want to repeat that because Zoom might censor this now. But then this guy gets up there and I'm looking at him, I'm going, yeah, you know, he might make it, he might not. He was great throughout the show. About halfway into the show, I'm doing a routine where I say, you're going to get a phone call from your favorite celebrity or, you know, athlete or whoever. He was wearing like a Lakers jersey and Lakers shorts, and he had like basketball shoes. So I kind of look at that and go, yeah, your favorite celebrity or your favorite athlete. And they're going to call you and they're going to want to go out to lunch with you, like on a date, maybe a business date or maybe a date, a romantic date. And you can choose, but it's your favorite celebrity or athlete calling you, and sports figure calling you. And you're gonna hear the phone ring 3 times. Don't pick it up until the 3rd ring. You don't want to appear to be anxious. And then it rings and it rings. And I say before the 3rd ring, now you realize the shoe is your right shoe is the phone. So some people will lift up their whole leg. I can't do that. I can, but you'd have to call the paramedics. And if I could do that, quite honestly, I'd never have to leave my house. But some people will reach down and they'll take off their shoe and they'll put their shoe up to their ear and they'll start talking to the people on their phone, their shoe phone. And so I'll interview them. And this guy he takes his shoe off and he goes like this, and he immediately pops out of hypnosis, walks right off the stage in the middle of the show. And I'm like, where are you going? And so afterwards, I went up to him and I said, dude, you were great through the most of the show. And then you answered your shoe phone and you left. He said, I have the most severe case of foot odor. And
oh no,
my family makes me keep my shoes on the front porch. They never come into my house. That's how bad it smells. And he goes, it even makes my eyes water. And so when I answered my shoe phone, it popped me right out of hypnosis. You learn something new every day. And so a disaster, but I look at it when he was leaving the stage, I'm like, where the hell are you going? I said, apparently his date's starting now because he's got, maybe they're waiting outside to pick him up. And I just kind of played it off like, well, whatever. I just watched where he sat. I watched where I can talk to him after, so make sure he's okay and everything. But yeah, you just don't know what the disasters are going to be because you can't control everything. You look out as much as you can for abreactions and hysteria and things like that so that nothing bad happens. But you never know where the disasters are going to occur. In the same theater, in a different show, I had a guy and a girl up, and they were basically they were talking to Martians. They were Martian ambassadors, and the Martians became so enamored with them that they played a little practical joke on my female and male volunteer that they took their belly button. And I still have a picture of this girl. I should find it. She was stunningly beautiful, and she was wearing a tube top. Remember those things? A tube top. I
had a couple.
And so myself, I said, I try not to wear them because of the tan lines, but and I have a much bigger tube anyway. So, so she. I looked at her and I said, well, look for your belly button. Maybe it's under your shoe. So she's looking under her foot. She's looking under the chair. I turn to face the guy and I hear the sound you never want to hear from the audience. And that is,
oh no.
Right. And so now it was an adult show, but nonetheless, you don't want anything inappropriate that would embarrass somebody later on in the town that they live in. I don't care. I was just a visitor. I'm going home after the damn show. But so anyways, I look back and I'm like, oh, pray tell, what is happening now? And so I look back towards her. I see everybody in the audience going, oh, and she's got her tube top and she's literally looking down her tube top. She got her tube top pulled about 8 inches away where I could see things that were lovely. And so I simply looked at her and I said, oh, no, put that back. Those are outies. You're looking for an innie. And again, I don't know where these things come out of my mouth or my mind, but again, one of those disastrous things that could happen, but you don't always know. I mean, you wing it, you stay calm in all situations. That's the big thing. Don't overreact. Just deal with it.
If people wanted to do some training with you at some point, how can they go about doing that? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably the best way to do it would be just reach out to me through the website. I got a point with this hand, virtualhypnosisonline.com. There's an 800 number on there, and it all is spelled out, virtualhypnosisonline.com. There's an 800 number there. And what I've been doing, especially since the pandemic has started, is individual one-on-one online coaching with hypnotists who want to improve their clinical practice or their stage business as well, or a combination thereof. I have a different approach to my coaching program. I have ideas and I have things that I'm more than willing to share with them, but I don't know what they want to learn. I don't know what they don't know. And sometimes they don't know what they don't know. So there's a little bit of exploratory process that we do to try to figure out what they're lacking and what I can truly help them with. And if I can't help them with one particular thing, I will definitely tell them who to go to for that help. But in most cases, it's something that I can help most people out with. And I offer an individualized coaching program. We structure it to, I don't know how many sessions it is. I have sort of a stock one where they get 6 sessions with me. So it's a 3-month program, 2 2-hour sessions per month, 2 weeks apart. So there's some homework assigned in the beginning. In the first bit of homework is, what do you need to know? What do you need help with? What do you think you don't know that you think you want to know? And we'll explore that a little bit. That doesn't count as one of the sessions. And then we do 6 sessions, 2 hours each, 2 weeks apart for 3 months. And that program is sort of the stock program. But I've had hypnotists hire me for 1 session and say, hey, I just need help with this. Can you help me with this? And if we could knock it out in 2 hours, I'm willing to do that. So the best thing is to call me to figure out what I can help you with. And if I can't help you with it, I will tell you up front. If I can, I'll tell you what we need to do to make it happen. And I'll build a custom program for you. That's always the easiest way to do it. I do have some other things that, I sell online, like the Genie process. If you do a coaching program with me, I throw in all that stuff in there for you if you want it, because it's extra value for you. I have a weight loss program. I have a Genie program. I have a stop smoking program. I have all these programs sitting around that I'm more than willing to share them with any of my coaching students. At the same time, we'll figure out what it is I can help them the most with. So just give me a shout out, give me a call.
That sounds actually incredible. Yeah, that sounds like a really good opportunity for people.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing about it is I've been mentored that way by other people too. And, there has to be some value assigned to it. There has to be a cost to it, of course, because there has to be an exchange of value in both directions for it to be meaningful and effective. And so I don't want to try to sell you a program that's a year-long coaching program that's full of nothing but marketing and this stuff when marketing is not what you need help with.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather just help you with what you need help with. We'll be done with it then. And if you need to go someplace else for other things, that's okay too. So it's very a la carte, very just, build as you need. We'll figure out, the cost as we go, and we'll figure out, that way it's amenable to you and amenable to me. And there's an exchange of value in both directions. So for sure.
Fantastic. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to chat with you again, since it's been such a long time since we've had the opportunity to chat.
No, it's been a year. I miss baby George, and give him a kiss for me if you ever find the kid.
Actually, just one last thing for those people in Australia who are watching this. I have to say that Emma Romano and I took the time to make Vegemite on toast properly for Michael and for his lovely wife, Billy, and for Dan Kendall.
Yeah.
And of the three of them, Michael was the only one who enjoyed it. And so I appreciate that you actually could get that Australian taste sensation. I think Dan's
I have a jar. I have a jar in my cabinet. I have a jar in my cabinet, and I found out you can add it to other foods like gravies and things like that too. And it tastes. It's like a nice little salt additive. I like salty things, anyways. But no, it was very good. I mean, I didn't find it offensive at all. I made all my family try it, and they're like, "Ooh, what is this?" Yeah, whatever. And so, but yeah, and you know what, you and Emma, and especially you. Were such a gracious host when we were there, and Emma too, and everybody. I mean, I'm definitely, Australia is on my radar to come back to someday.
Yeah, we'd have to be back. All travel and training again.
And so we'll do something. Dan and I have talked about it too, because we decided that we want to do something like that every year. And of course, then a pandemic hit, but we definitely would like to come back and stay longer. And if nothing more than the bakeries that you have there and the baked goods, because for the love of God, man, those pastries are just, what is it?
You were staying around St. Kilda, so that's hardly a surprise.
Yeah. What is what is it? The vanilla slice.
Oh, vanilla slice.
Vanilla slice.
Yes.
Yeah. I would, you know what? I would, I would pay for one of those right now. Yes. And ironically, on the Food Network here, Guy Fieri, on Diners, Dives, and Drives, he went to a bakery owned by an Australian guy here in the States who was making some of those treats. And I'm like, I must go to that state. So yeah, but I like my sweets, man. I like my salty. I like my sweets.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome.